Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday to everybody. Feliz Jueves to my Latinos who are out there watching me. Uh, it's today's transfer portal day. There's a lot of things for us to discuss. Yesterday was the grand opening of the transfer portal, and then we got to see a bunch of little activity that was there. And so I'm going to have that conversation with you guys about the transfer portal and all that thing entails. And then, there's also some Texas related things that we'll get into as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because I think it should be a real good show, a good fun show for everybody as we get ready to head into our Easter weekend. I think you like I'm glad you like the hood of Chris Bennett. I've had this thing for years. I've had it for years. I'll be honest with you. It's probably bad to say. I'm usually at the end of the laundry cycle when I go to when you start seeing me wearing like orange buds gear and stuff. Then usually I'm like, damn, I need to start doing some laundry. So that's kind of where I'm at. So don't judge me for you, Joe. But we'll definitely get into that. Well, I appreciate you, Chris Bennett. Let me just do this retreat. And it's so funny. I'm so at that stage of my life where I can wear I can wear Under Armour top and Nike sneakers, and I don't care. I just don't care. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have hit that moment where you just passed the it all has to match thing, but we are. That's kind of where I'm at now. So yesterday we had some kind of some things that were kind of breaking and shaking. Ketch and I did a show yesterday, kind of breaking some of these things down. But one of the things as the transfer portal open, we've all been talking about Texas needing a tight end. What lo and behold, one kind of fell out the sky, and it was Jack Endries from Cal. And he ends up being a guy that not only enters the transfer portal, excuse me. Good morning, Tex Bar. How's your daughter doing at Texas State, by the way? It's been a while. How's that transition been? Now how you been as well? But all of a sudden, he falls out from the sky, and then the next thing he's telling everybody, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna go visit Texas," and all you got to do at that point is start to connect dots. I mean that's a hell of a fast move right there. I mean that is moving fast. That is literally like getting on like a dating app like Bumble or something like that, matching, and then actually going out on a date that night. That's really what that was, right? They matched. They're like, hey, what you into? This man, we got a lot in common. Hey, you free this weekend? Yeah. And then like they're gonna get together. And props to props to Texas. Props to Brandon Harris. It's funny. I was joking, Ketch and I were joking because obviously, we've had the Brandon Harris's conversations before, and and it seems like things are moving really fast as relates to that whole situation. I'll give you an update in a second as relates to that. But we were kind of joking back and forth on Orange Bloods, right? And congratulations, made the Dean's List. Damn, that's awesome. Good job. Props to her. She's doing great. You should be definitely happy about that. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. Good to see. All these kids are getting ready to graduate too from high school. I got a lot of graduations to go to. I got a lot of money. I got a lot of $100 bills that I was gonna have to start handing out. I still think I got that 20 in my pocket from the other day, but I got a lot of hundreds I gotta start handing out over the starting next month, I guess in May. It's gonna get crucial. But anyway, so all of a sudden we start hearing that, hey, this thing is trending in the right direction and he's going to visit. Now, I don't necessarily have the date at this moment of when his visit's going to be. Still kind of working on that. And I'm sorry if you're going to see me looking back and forth. I'm trying to keep up with the transfer portal things and things that are kind of going on. So I'm texting people at the same time. So I apologize. I'm going to multitask. And so Jack Endries ends up being a person that it's kind of like the first when it officially opens. Like obviously Texas was able to get the Stanford receiver, and we'll get into talk a little bit more about him. Emmett Mosley the fifth. Which, by the way, I love people who are dedicated to just naming their kids. Like your great great grandfather named Emmett, your grandfather named Emmett, your daddy named Emmett. You gonna be Emmett, right? It's just like it's fascinating to me that people are like, I'm dedicated to that name. I'm like, wow, that's a lot, right? Props to everyone who does it. I think my oldest son's mom asked me if I wanted to name him Anwar. I said, hell no. I need his brother to get a job one day. No, you ain't gonna name him no Anwar. The worst part about being Anwar, by the way, you know what the worst part was? Was that, when we were kind of hypersensitive after like our terrorist attacks. And so walking around with like an Arabic name, when I actually am not Arabic at all and I'm not Muslim at all, but actually having that name, oh my God. It was, you know what? You don't want to be the person, at that time period, walking around talking about my name is Anwar. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We good? What's going on here? it was that time, right? It was like I was like, damn, Mom. I know you could not have predicted this in the 70s, but this is the worst name to have right about now. I'm hoping we get now everyone's cool. Like it's cool, but man, it was rough for a couple of years. I ain't gonna lie. There was a lot of side eyes. I'm like, no. So anyway, Evan Mosley as well. Jack Endries is coming in at some point. And the good part for about Jack, as you start to kind of look at it and start to break him down. One of the good parts for him is that there's still 2 seasons remaining as since he's a redshirt sophomore. So this is not that kind of 1-year rental that we've been seeing before. Now, of course, if he blows up and forces the issue, then things kind of become a little bit different. But right now, he's not really a 1-year rental. He was a freshman All-American in 2023. Kind of basically as a redshirt freshman starter. He was the 3rd leading receiver among the ACC tight ends. And then, he was able to have 56 catches, 623, and 2 touchdowns. And so overall, you look at him and say to yourself, all right, he's got, maybe he's not elite in, let's say size or speed or anything to that effect. But at the end of the day, you've got a guy that you can say to yourself, this is, well, I'll shut the hell up. This is a guy that could fit in, right? Okay, so by the way, Lane A, let's just go ahead and drop this in here. $20 super chat. $20, I'll shut up. He goes, and yes, he was a walk-on at Cal and then kind of worked his way up. But that thing happens, man. Like, think about this, Colby. Think about Michael Taffet. He went into the transfer portal. Like, no, yeah, you would say, yeah, he was a walk-on at Texas, and he would have everybody who was wanting him at this point, right? There's very few schools that would say I wouldn't want a Michael Taff, right? So sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But Lane says, if you watch Jack's film, you see Sark's offense in the exact routes that the tight ends use. Yeah, and that's the thing, Lane. When you talk about it, the Texas runs, he's a perfect fit because Texas runs 12 personnel, right? And so because Texas runs a 12 personnel, that's basically a 2 tight ends, right? And they run it a lot. I don't have the percentages in front of me, but they do run that 12 personnel a lot. And so because of that, you walk in as a person that says, okay, I've got an opportunity to play right away, especially at a place like Texas, right? And so when you think, and by the way, thanks a lot, Lane. And so kind of when you think about it and break it down, if he comes in, he's a guy that you look at and say to yourself, hold on one second. Hold on. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one. This is hold on. Let me just stop something. Let me stop something. There is I have to put this. Okay, there you go. Any of you guys got teams at your work or workplace? The thing that y'all communicate on is that you do you use Teams or something? I just there was this notification. The thing I don't like, the thing I don't like about Teams and all these other things is that when people don't just use it to just communicate and to say one thing and then we're done. It's just like this back and forth. As I hate like my we have my son plays soccer and he's got this they have a parent app. And in theory, the parent app is just supposed to be to talk about the most important things. But these people can't stop talking. And it's just, I get notification and they're laughing and then joking, but I'm thinking, oh man, something important. But then if I turn off the notifications, then I miss the important stuff. Like, oh, there's a game that was moved or a field that's moved or all these other kind of things. But but they're sending jokes to each other. And I'm like, well, y'all can y'all exchange numbers and do a group chat? Anyway, so what was happening on Teams, I had to mute it because I'm trying to talk to y'all, and it's just like bing, 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 ha ha ha. I'm like, I can't stand y'all. Anyway, but then what happens is after the show, I'll go for a walk, then I'll forget to turn Teams back on, and then the next thing you know, I miss I miss like Arch Manning went to the transfer portal. I'm like, damn it, man. So anyway, let me get back on track. So Texas runs a lot of 12 personnel because 12 personnel, if you or Jack, what you're saying to yourself is, I don't necessarily have to be better than Jordan Washington. I basically just have to be better than Spencer Shannon, right? That's what you're saying to yourself. Like I really got to be better than Spencer Shannon. I got to be better than Will Randall. I got to be better than Nate Kibble when he gets here, right? That's all. That's really what the thought process is. And I can walk in and play for a team that's going to compete for a national championship. I'm going to upgrade to what was just said by Lane. You could also envision yourself in this offense, and it's a perfect thing. And I just don't think it's a 100% coincidence that he gets in the portal and Texas pounces quickly. I think they pounce quickly because they know that's a guy that can come in and be an instant upgrade. And the fact that he's like, Texas is going to be my first visit shows me again, that's a if you're on a dating gap and you match, that is a perfect match for both of them, right? And so you have that one that we're kind of monitoring. And we're going to see what happens with that situation. Again, as Texas kind of builds around Arch and adds some more Arch weapons, and kind of goes back to the thing that I've been told previously is that they will add more things for Arch, but also add anything that can improve this team as the portal window goes. Now, of course, there's been some movement, right? I mean, it's day one, right? So we still got another week and change of this whole thing. So we still have some time for guys to go into the portal. Understand this: the portal window is basically that deadline to go in the portal, but it's not the deadline for you to be with a team, right? So you can go in on the final day of the portal, put your name in, but then you can still sign, a week later, 2 weeks later. Like you still have some time there. So that's how like Texas was able to get like a guy like Velton Gardner last year. Yeah, I just had to make sure where I am with my years. They was able to get Velton Gardner. Velton Gardner went into the portal a long time ago. And he was just sitting there, and then Texas was able to pick him up and kind of go from there. By the way, Super Chat comes in. Any good nuggets for the player availability? I like this. You know why? We don't have to stay on topic. We can just go anywhere that you want to. Sure, I got a couple of good nuggets for you from yesterday. Just a couple of little things. Light practice yesterday, no pads. And there was some good things about Lance Jackson as far as what he was able to do. Some of this I'm talking about some things I reported here on Orange Bloods. But Lance Jackson had a really good practice lot of hype around him and really good expectations about him as well. Then it was in kind of a lighter day, and Christian Clark had a really good day. What the quote is, he got loose on a deep bomb on a wheel route, and then went up to get it in traffic. I've been talking about Christian Clark and all he's been able to do since he's come back, and so again, we'll have that conversation about the running backs. I've had it before. I did a show actually. If it wasn't this past Friday, it was 2 Fridays ago. So if you get a chance to go check it out, I did a show talking about Christian Clark and how good he has been from the people, what they were telling me inside the building. And so he had another good day at practice. And, it's interesting because just kind of along those lines real quick, I've heard a ton about Christian Clark, heard a lot about Quintravion Wisner. What to hear, and I've heard James Simon, and James Simon is another one for that as well. It's so funny. Can I just kill teams? My girl Sunny hits me up with something as well. I just gonna mute everybody. And Sunny's mad cool. Like Sunny's just mad cool. Now I get like DMs, questions and stuff. I'm like, man, do people? Oh no, I just not see. Oh no. Anyway, so first stuff about James Simon. I know Sunny's gonna pop in the chat. She'll be like, "I was just letting you know from when you get off the show." She's cool. So James Simon, you've heard Christian Clark, you heard Quintravion Wisner, and then sometimes but sometimes it's not what people say, it's what they don't say. So I haven't heard a lot of Jarrett Gibson during the spring. Right now, it's not a death sentence by any stretch of the imagination. But I haven't heard that name. And so those are probably guys, if I was in their shoes, I would definitely be feeling like, okay, I got to step up. So there's some of your nuggets, football junkie. Thanks for asking. That's what Super Chats do. Just ask whatever the hell you want to. Hey, you can interrupt me. My own team interrupts me. So y'all can interrupt me whatever you want to. Super Chat interrupts the show. You can ask whatever you want to ask, random questions, whatever it is. It just kind of, you get to the front of the line. Good morning to you, Stephanie, as well. Where's hold on. Yeah, okay, Justin. I had to make sure Justin, another fragrance reviewer, was in here. Just another fragrance reviewer went on vacation. He got back, I think it was on Tuesday. I just want to make sure, he's back. He's back safe. I just want to make sure, there's no repercussions of anything, Justin. That somebody didn't slip you something and 2 days later. But as long as you good, I'm glad you are good. We all got vacations that are coming up soon. So glad you guys are doing good. Easter weekend's coming up to this weekend as well. Hope you guys have some plans for that. I will do a show tomorrow, though. I will not leave you guys hanging. I'll figure out something fun to do for Easter weekend. So Catch came out with a list. That was interesting for us to maybe just kind of spend just a couple of minutes on. And everyone has their different lists that are out there. What's up for Longhorn Football Edits? It's good to see all of y'all. He came up with a list of guys that maybe are, in his view, are kind of the top 10 guys who within the portal at this, that may or may not have already made commitments. So we have Nico. All signs are leaning towards him going to UCLA, but I mean, hell, I can't tell you that I cover this thing well enough to, yes, Mark, I'm going to be there. Yes, I'll be there. If you're going to be there, come out and say what's up. I will definitely be there. When is that again? When is it? That's got to be coming up pretty soon, isn't it? Yeah, but let me know. But I go to that thing every year. I drive up to Houston and then enjoy myself. So yes, but when is it? Let me know. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I don't know when it's going to is, but I know it's usually after spring ball. So that part I know. So you have Nico and the potential that he may go to UCLA. We'll see what happens with him. But obviously, he's the top quarterback that's available. Obviously, Emmett Mosley comes into Texas and trying to figure out a little bit where he's going to fit in, but obviously a good solid addition there. You had Bo Atkinson, the UNC edge guy, come in. UNC just got a commitment. It was what's his name, Reed, committed this morning. Well, actually, I think he verbally said last night he was going to go somewhere. Oh, that's why you guys are talking about Lee Corso. I was like, why the hell are they talking about Lee Corso? Final game day show will take place week 1 of 2025. ESPN has announced. All right, that makes all the sense in the world. I was wondering I said, why are y'all talking about Lee Corso? But me, then I get easily distracted. It's like, I'm walking down in the field. It's like, oh, butterfly. And then, caterpillar. And now I'm just kind of doing all these other things. So, Lee Corso. Okay. That's announced that Lee Corso, well, he turns 90 in August. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I admire what he's been doing. And look, I want to live to 90 and be able to work, but there was some times where you were like, oh, okay, he's a little bit older and slowing down. And sometimes from a selfish standpoint, we want to kind of remember people in their prime, which we all want to do. But yeah, man, bro, 90, do one more show, have a set off. Maybe that's his set off is Texas, Ohio State in week 1. Maybe that's send off, excuse me. Maybe that's what it's going to be. So that would be kind of cool for Texas to do something to kind of honor him if that's the case. But yeah, Lee Corso, what a badass that is. Yeah, he is Calvin, man. I tell you what, he's one of the reasons why. I mean, I really watched game day. Oh, we all watched it just to see what his predictions were going to be at the end. That's kind of was kind of legendary. So that's gonna suck. Who's gonna do the predictions now? It's gonna suck without him. But 90 years old, man, props to him. Props to him. Number 4. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Jack Andrews and what that looks like. This one's interesting too. Number 5, Tanner Kazoil, I believe that's how it's pronounced. If I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, y'all let me know. Wisconsin tight end. I think there's, he's a guy that's intriguing to me. I'll be honest with you. If Texas could get either one of the two, I would be happy, to be quite honest with you. Last season, and again, he's bounced around a little bit, so let's be clear with that. So he's he's made the rounds, right? But last season he had 94 catches for 839 yards and 8 touchdowns. So again, he's bounced around just a little bit. I mean, he was only in Wisconsin for a kind of a brief cup of tea at that point, but we'll see what happens there. Jaden Ott goes to Oklahoma, running back. Helps that offense for sure. Helps that offense out. They need. I try to be slick mouth when I say it, but they definitely do need help on that offense. And so he's a running back that will obviously add in some weapons. I think there's still a lot of holes to fill there as relates to Oklahoma, but at least they do have it. And yeah, in the ideal world, you can get both of those tight ends. Absolutely, Sailor. It takes the guy too. In the ideal world, you grab both and just stack them. And if you can, the hard part is just the NIL. Y'all can see everybody's trying to get paid until there's some sort of salary cap. It's going to be hard. So you're basically going to have one person. It's like, does Texas want to spend $1 million plus on each guy? And then they want to exhaust all of that. And do you want to are they both starters or is one a backup? Like, you almost gonna have a salary slot in your mind as relates to what that looks like. So it's a little bit tough. You have David Bailey, who goes to Texas Tech. They paid a boatload of money for him. It it was to the point where I was, the things I was hearing behind the scenes here at Texas was, they wanted him. They thought he could help. Like they didn't need an edge guy, but they said like, hell, if you're interested, absolutely. And then when Tech was just dropping, I'm talking money, they're like, hey man, good luck. Hey, we out, right? It's like anything in life, right? Sometimes you don't need it. And so you say to yourself, I mean, I wouldn't mind getting it. And then you find out the price, like, nah, I'm good on that. I definitely do not need to do that. That's kind of what David Bailey was for them. Cameron Camper, Andrew Simpson, and then there's Micah Hudson from Tech, and that's going to be an interesting one. Um, it's interesting because you hear from the Texas A&M side, oh, well, this is the reason why he left, and they've kind of painted him to kind of be maybe the bad guy in this equation. Like there's something wrong with him, and he's problematic, and all these kind of things. And I would just say I view that whole situation. It's kind of like when you talk to one of your friends and they tell you that they're no longer in a relationship with somebody, and then they give you their version of the story, right? And they give you their version of the story, and they're like, man, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, she was crazy, she was tripping, right? She was doing all that kind of stuff, but they only tell you their version of the story, right? Because it's like, man, she was crazy, she was tripping, she was jealous. I mean, yeah, I mean, this woman, I was getting these pictures in the phone, but she should have gone through my phone though. But people only tell you like one side of the story. And you're like, wait a second, there's more to the story than what you're talking about. That's kind of what it is for the Texas A&M side. There's more to the story. There's more to the story than, oh, Micah Hudson's just a problematic person. That does not mean he's in play at Texas, just so we're clear. But there's more in play. And at the end of the day, checks got to clear. Checks got to clear. The checks have got to clear. There is that, right? There's another one too I wanted to share with y'all here. And this was some rival stuff that I thought was kind of interested. Where here we go. So I'm gonna share this screen with y'all. Let me see. Can I do this? Yeah, that could. Yeah, we could do both at two at one time. And so anyway, I just wanted to make sure I was. The text blonde. What's funny about A&M? The campus is. I don't know. I've never been to their campus. I really expected more, and I felt like all the buildings looked alike. And it wasn't necessarily like aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense. Now, what I did like when I went there, I did like that they had like the bars and stuff that were close. Like I do like campuses like that. We don't necessarily have that at UT, where you've got these bars that you just kind of walk out of, or restaurants, and then walk to the stadium. Like it's kind of, you have to get there and kind of make it more of a destination, or you got to tailgate somewhere. So that part I thought I like is cool, and I like the ability to just be close to the stadium and tailgate by the stadium. Like I like that, right? Just when you have your tailgates a little bit further away or up the hill, right? You got to go up the hill and tailgate there, or that off of MLK. So I like that portion of it. But outside of that, I was like, ugh, I don't know. And I thought the stadium was a little older. I don't know, the stadium was a little bit older. It was a little bit disappointing of a trip. I guess I think I had higher expectations. This is who Rival says is kind of the best guys available. This is kind of their top 10. So they had Nico at number 1. They had Tanner, obviously, at number 2. They have Micah Hudson at number 3. So a little bit of different point of view. Everyone's got a different point of view. But Micah at the 3 spot. Branson Robinson, the running back from Georgia, at the 4. And then, of course, there's some other guys that would love to say to tell you that I'm a super. I'd love to tell you I'm an expert on Tavoy Fagan, but I'm not, right? And so none of these necessarily any of these guys are in play here. I haven't heard anything as relates to him in Texas as well. I feel like all Kyle's running backs just kind of departed the same way Texas State's kickers have departed. Everybody is just there. Yes, Brian Urlacher's son, Kennedy Urlacher. I was watching some of his clips the other day. He looks pretty good. I've got to be honest with you. Don't ask me why I was watching it. I was doing research. Now I was just watching it, and it came across maybe my Twitter feed, and I thought, oh, he's kind of interesting. And then Blake Steen, an offensive tackle. Again, not necessarily guys that Texas is 100% interested in, but thought it was worth kind of talking about and worth passing along as well. So in addition to like some transfer portal stuff, there's some cool things. We had yesterday. Remember I told you I had to get out of here yesterday because I had some player interviews and stuff to do. So I wanted to kind of bring back something for you guys. So Michael Taft had a really interesting conversation. No hypothetical questions. No hypothetical questions. But that was funny. But Michael Taft, really just a good dude to talk to. In fact, we got a chance to talk to Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, and Michael Taft. And man, all those dudes just you could tell their parents raised them right. Like you start there. You could tell their parents raised them right, respectful young men, good thought processes that they process things and questions and ask questions before they answer questions, and a great blend of confidence, but humbleness, which is very hard to achieve. But all those guys, I thought, just if their parents are watching, and the one thing I would want my people to say about me as a parent, about my kids rather, is I'd rather them say they were good people first before you start talking about like the athleticism, right? That's what I would totally want them to say. So if the parents are watching, and I know a lot of you guys pass along things to the parents as well, all you guys done a phenomenal job raising your children. You should be 100% happy. So Michael Taft, the subject kind of came up with him. And there's a portion of the interview that I just want you guys to hear because I thought it was really good. It touched on a few different topics, but I thought it was really worth sharing. So let me get you in some Michael Taft interview statements. It's only a few minutes, but definitely worth it for you. Check this.
Texas football history, at least recent years. So, like you hear that Akina is coming on board, you're probably super jacked. But to other guys in the room, he's probably just another coach. Did he have to like sell himself? Like, hey, here's who I am. Here are my credentials, or how did that go? First few meetings or so.
Yeah. Coach Akina has always preached trust is earned. So no matter how many draft picks I've had, no matter 40 people I've put in the league since I've been coaching, I got to earn your trust. You got to earn my trust. And so it goes both ways. And so he's always trying to, if I'm going to rip somebody, I'm also going to love them just as much because I need that connection with them in order to rip them so they know where I'm coming from.
By the way, that is so deep what he just said right there. That's so deep because it really you think about that for those that who are parents, right? The only way you can really discipline your child is if you have like the love and trust on the other end, and it's good in it. But there is that thing like it's almost like there's that criticism ratio, right? Where for every one criticism you hear, there's a certain amount of positive things you have to hear as well. I'll find it for you as well. But it's like a Christian, whatever it is. Anyway, he definitely touched on that. I thought it was like a really cool thing. I'm going to actually look this thing up as we're talking about. I'll finish it up. Probably another 2.
He didn't come in talking about how many draft picks he's had. how many national championships he's won, how many, top 5 defenses he's coached. He came in, I want to gain y'all's trust. So then y'all can believe me when I say, hey, yeah, I coached Michael Huff, I coached Quandre Diggs, and so forth and so on.
Michael, last year about this time, Jade was here. He talked about his competitive spirit. He said he's spoken to Quinn. He says, my whole goal is to get an interception on you in practice. Have you had that same conversation with Arch?
Yeah, me and Arch talk a lot of trash. So definitely share words about I'm going to pick you off. He's doing a heck of a job in spring right now. Arch, freshman year to Arch now is night and day difference. He's playing so smart, so mature, so calm. And then also, oh, by the way, he's also got a really good arm. He can throw, and he's, who he is, and he's a ball player. So he's doing a really good job. We talk a lot of trash, but it's so cool. I saw what he said to y'all about, this is where I want to be. And so in the day and age of college football right now, that is so cool to know that a quarterback's saying that, because you never judge a book by its cover. So I would never speak on Nico's situation because I don't know who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Is it really him? Is it, people in his life? Who's really saying, to hold out from practice? It probably isn't just him that's begging for money, right? So I would never judge a book by its cover. But the cool thing about here is everything going on in college football, everybody's freaking out. What's happening with college football? We're so naive to that. Like, our locker room is so naive to that. Nobody talks about financials. Nobody talks about really the transfer portal and who's going to leave, who's not going to leave, who are we going to bring in. We talk about, like if Quandre Diggs came in the locker room, he'd be like, yeah, it's pretty much the same as when I played, and there was no transfer portal, there was no NIL, because we're just so, we have a great culture. We're bonded with one another. We have strong in our faith, and we just love the game of football. We love the University of Texas. So that's the coolest thing. That's something to look forward to if you're a Longhorn fan, is like, yes, college football is crazy right now, but I don't see a lot of that going on in our locker room.
Damn, that's refreshing, right? Because he is right. He is correct. He is 100% correct. For all the negative stories that people are talking about and guys holding out and making demands and all these kind of things, like that, I'll be honest with you, I don't hear that here. I don't hear that here. Do I hear about negotiations? Of course. You hear about negotiations. But do I hear that there is, the Negros are extremes, but just guys who just pissed off, who aren't getting taken care of? No. And one of the reasons why is that, one, they have a good GM in Brandon Harris who makes sure that there's a dialogue that takes place, and that there's a people don't necessarily, when you're negotiating, right, you don't always love the person that you're negotiating with. That's natural. That happens. And so sometimes you may hear like, it's kind of a hard ass, but that's kind of part of the job, right? That's part of the job, is sometimes you have to tell people no. That's just life. I'm not, just to use the parent analogy, sometimes you got to tell people no, right? You got to tell your kids no, right? And clearly we're talking about adults. We're not using that these aren't kids, but you get the point, right? Sometimes those hard decisions have to be made, right? And sometimes you have to say yes, and sometimes you got to say no. So I don't hear about those things. I don't hear, nor have I heard, as I've heard with other programs, not only throughout the country, in state, that checks aren't clearing. Checks are clearing. When the check's supposed to be there, and nobody's wondering where it's supposed to be, right? And one of the reasons why, even right now, you're not seeing Texas, guys just rolling out of Texas at this moment, is because, one, honest conversations were had earlier this year. NIL deals were done and wrapped up earlier this year. And everybody knows where they stand. And when you know where you stand, it's easier to kind of operate, right? It's easier to know where we stand. Like, I like you, I don't like you. You're third string. This is where your path is. Hey, you want to hang around? Cool. If not, cool. Or, hey, you know what? You're probably not going to play here. If you like to play, if you want to play somewhere else, go ahead and hop in the portal. We'll do the best we can to help you find a soft landing spot, but it's probably not going to happen here. It just kind of is what it is. There's an honest dialogue that occurs, and Sark is pretty honest about it. Again, I kind of played that clip from yesterday when they do have conversations that this is where you're at, and if you're good, great. If not, we understand. But we're Texas has passed the days where hell, one person can hold the program hostage. Hell, you're almost at the point where someone decides that they do want to leave. You just kind of outside of an arch, right? But even then, you have to have a program that makes sure that an arch situation doesn't happen, right? You have to make sure that one, you recruit the right person. It starts there. You recruit the right person. Sark always talks about it's important for them to find guys who are the right fit, not just athletic, but the right fit. All the stuff that you can look at in Tennessee, you knew what you were getting into. You knew what you were getting into. Don't act naive. We all know what we're getting into in life, right? And then sometimes you willingly sign up for it because you say that hopefully the talent will override everything. But the money only just makes the problem that already exists bigger, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if a person is a cheater who not making a lot of money, well, when they get a whole lot of money, well, you know what that means is that they're cheating in different destinations, it all throughout the world, right? So instead of cheating in New Braunfels, they out and cheating in New Zealand, right? It's just the money just already magnifies what's already there. The Nico situation, I guarantee you, everyone knew the personality of the dad and the kid in high school, but some people say we need the talent. Sark and them understood, hey, this is Arch. This is who he is as a person. And so we're good with that. And we very rarely have heard things that, as far as like huge disruptions, locker rooms, things to that effect. You've had guys not make it on the team. We have John Tay, who, by the way, went into the transfer portal yesterday, and good luck to him. I hope all his things get situated. Hope all things get cleaned up with him. But there's also some circumstances, as relates to that I would just, without putting him on blast, I think there's personal things that personal challenges that he was dealing with, and hopefully he's good now, as we all have personal challenges that we deal with. But so recruiting the right persons and then having the right people behind the scenes who are then able to handle all these kinds of situations. So when Taft talks about, man, we don't have all that, and all these things don't happen. Well, all those things don't happen is because you have kind of almost a well-oiled machine that's making sure things go well, right? As you go through the drive-through, it's a well-oiled machine that makes sure that things are going well. But there's any kind of things that break it down. Now your ass is sitting there for 10, 15 minutes like, what the hell just happened, right? And so it's probably, you as a Texas fan should be really happy that you're looking at other programs. You're like, ooh, that happened to them. Ooh, that superstar was there. And then you look at your team and say, man, everyone seems to be good and happy. Everyone's copacetic, and everyone's just saying, all right, our focus is on winning a national championship. I don't know what those other people are dealing with, but it ain't us. I think that's a good thing. They're going to be happy with. And you're right, Oscar. But, when you say that, Oscar, and you are correct, right? And I did listen to what Cam said, and I do 100% agree. I would just add into it, man, you 19 years old and you got that kind of money. Good luck. Good luck. I knew what it was like to be 19 making minimum wage. And you know what it was? You remember when you were like 18 or 19 years old and you had a job? And think about when you were that age and you had like your little job. and think about what it was like when it was income tax return time. I remember being young, like 17 years old. Do you remember back in the day? People will not believe this nowadays, right? Because I don't think you can do it nowadays. You remember back in the day where you could file your income tax over the phone? Y'all remember that? Man, I remember getting my little check and enter it in all the numbers, and then that was it. And then you just file it by over the phone. And then a couple of weeks later, you get like $200. You're like, oh, I'm rich. Like I am rich. Now imagine being like 19 and like this, but now you got a mill or two. Hellcats, all these kind of things. Like it's just a different world. So I get what he's saying, but it's also hard. That's where you have to have good people around you and good advice for some folks. Because you say, well, hell, that's a young people. We still got older people filing for bankruptcy and dealing with credit card issues and all kinds of stuff as well. So it happens, but it's dealing with money. That's a art. That's a craft. If you're able to do it, God bless you. But it's not easy for everybody. Yes, with your beepers, man, I can tell you. I bet your Green Lantern knows what I'm about to talk about. Man, I remember back in the day, I upgraded and I had a 1-800 number as a beeper because I'm like, yo, I want everybody all around the world to be able to beep your boy. Oh man, paying for phone minutes and everything like that, man, that's crazy. We used to pay for phone minutes. That thing, long distance calls actually cost money. Oh, don't do a long distance call and your mama find out. Hey, who you calling? Oh man, you get killed. Anyway, we're done. We got a show coming up at noon. We'll have more updates of obviously the transfer portal, things that are going on at UT. Football with Friends is coming up a little bit later on as well. I'm going to get out of here. I guess I got to turn my teams back on, so wish me luck. Y'all take care. Remember what I said, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. Peace out. Y'all be good today. Do something special for yourself because you're absolutely